And that just made me want to look and see if I could find a game like Gravity Rush, because you don't see too many. And I found this game, MIGHTREYA. Well, you know, it was in development and whatnot, so then I was like, all right, I'll just add this to my wish list and go about my merry way. Months and months and months later, I'm just sitting there one day and I'm like, I remember there was a game that was like Gravity Rush. I wonder how that's doing. So I check it out on Steam, and by some strange coincidence, literally the next day, they are starting a playtest. So it was just kind of like, wow, why did I think about this now? Suspicious. So anyway, MIGHTREYA is a game that, again, as I said, is clearly inspired by Gravity Rush. It's not exactly the same, and right now, you can do a playtest for it. So basically the idea is that you control the main character. I believe her name is Rhea. We don't have too much details right now. It's just basically what information is on the Steam page. But you can, there's a lot of aerial combat. You're flying around, you're doing kind of the same kind of dive kick. They have some combos and stuff like that. But right now, basically, the idea is, since the game is in development, they're doing this playtest, and people can play it and comment and leave those comments, and then they can use that to improve the game. So this is made by, hopefully I'm pronouncing this correctly, 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙥𝙦, W-A-Z-E-N. They are the developers of Assault Spy, and it is going to be published by 505 Games, which I'm sure you've heard of because they've published tons and tons and tons of games. So the hook of the game: join schoolgirl superhero Rhea and her manager Neo as they embark on their journey as hero content creators, fighting monstrous beings that emerge daily from another dimension. So basically, you're a content creator. If you're playing it, you'll see that you're kind of flying around fighting these enemies, and there's this little girl kind of hovering around you with a camera, and in the upper right hand corner of the screen it'll show you kind of what she's recording, so you can kind of see these fun angles of the fight and whatnot. As I said before, combat is very Gravity Rush like. You're flying through the air, you're doing these like dive kick things, so an enemy's way off and you just go flying through the air and slam into them. You can kick them down into the ground and do kind of a slam that way. You get a triple jump. So, and then you can also get like these kind of infinite dodges, so you can kind of jump up in the air and then just kind of dodge, 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 dodge. You also have things like wall running. So if you're sprinting and you hit a wall, you'll run straight up the wall. If you've played games like, I think it was DC Online, has something like that. If you're the Flash type characters, you know, we can run up and down walls and whatnot, so you have that. So it's all very fast paced. It's all very kind of all over the place. Very flashy. Currently in the playtest, you can play, there's a test level, which is basically just like a standard level. You run through, you defeat some enemies, you get from point A to point B. And then the second one is actually a boss fight, so you can test out what a boss fight's going to feel like. And then they also have a testing room where you can just kind of like test your skills and work on your combos and stuff like that. So they advertise that when it comes out, there's going to be 3 weapon types and various combos. Right now, you really only have the 1 attack type. There's going to be 38 stages with 24 enemy types, and a lot of them do resemble the Nevi from Gravity Rush. You know, they have like this little bubble thing for a head, and then these little tendrils that kind of come off of them, and you smash them in the head and they explode. And so in the playtest, you can tell it's very, very early. It's got some good bones. If you were, you know, if you're looking for that kind of feel, you're going to get that kind of feel out of it. But I did have some trouble. There was no controller support, at least not for me. I use a DS5, and so it said that there is controller support, but I could not get my controller to work. And also in game, you can switch it between the Xbox layout and the PS layout. So clearly there will be support. I guess it's just not there yet, or for whatever reason it wasn't recognizing mine. Certain commands didn't seem to exist. If you go into the game, you can go into like the thing where it says you can set your control options, and it says, oh, set this for this, this for this, this for this, this for this, this for this. When I was in the boss fight, I would be low on life, and then it would be like dinging, like you need to heal, you need to heal. And it would show me a D-pad with the down button, and I'm like, I don't understand. I'm using keyboard because my controller doesn't work. Where's the D-pad button? But it looks like maybe I had to press down on the arrow key, which seems like a weird place to have it, because that's nowhere close to either hand, either on the mouse or WASD. So that's a really odd place to put a button. But yeah, and also in the game, it did not tell you where the heal button was. You have to actually go to the community page on Steam, and on the community page they have a list of all the combos, and they have a list of all the commands. Those are not in game, so I recommend reading the community page if you want to know how to do things. When there's no tutorial, so it doesn't really teach you how to do much. It's just those 2 levels for testing. But yeah, so far it looks like it's on a good path. It does have quite a ways to go. It has not been announced yet, or the release date has not been announced yet. But yeah, I would highly recommend, You go to their Steam page. You can submit for the request to be part of the playtest. I did that. I got my acceptance within about 24 hours, and then I was able to play it. And I highly recommend it simply because, A, maybe this is a game you'd be into, and you can check it out, and you can say, hey, yeah, that looks interesting, or maybe say, like, nah, maybe skip this one. But either way, the more feedback they get, the better the game's going to be in the end. So the more people that are able to test it out, the more feedback they can get. And then also just to get some recognition, you know, so this isn't a game that just kind of fades away, you know, just get the word out there and put this on a few people's radars. So that's why I wanted to talk about this today.